and their meter's going to like 300.
Yes, the expression on my face is one of those
What's going on,
priceless moments.
You know, fire.
A lot of old systems.
Oh!
They're finding a lot of little small grow operations.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you know.
I'm sure. All right, good evening, everyone. Let's call
Are you
the
really?
the September meeting of the Grand Traverse Public Health and Safety Committee to order. If we could stand for the pledge, please. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jackie, if you could call the roll, please.
Commissioner Lathrop,
Yes.
Maxbauer,
Here.
Kropa,
Here.
Klaus,
Here.
Crawford,
Here.
Johnson,
Here.
Chairman Wheelock.
Yes, ma'am. All members present. The next item will be the approval of the minutes of the August 5th regular session.
So moved. Support.
Motion by Kropa, supported by Max Bauer to approve the minutes. Further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Brings us the first opportunity for public comment. If you would, please, Jackie.
Any person shall be permitted to address the meeting of the Board of Commissioners, which is required to be open to the public under the provision of the Michigan Open Meetings Act. Public comment should be carried out in accordance with the following board rules and procedures. Any person wishing to address the board shall state his or her name and address. No person shall be allowed to speak more than once on the same matter, excluding time needed to answer commissioners' questions, if any. The chairperson shall control the amount of time each person shall be allowed to speak, but shall not exceed 3 minutes. The chairperson may, at his or her discretion, extend the amount of time any person is allowed to speak. Public comment will be solicited during the 2 public comment periods noted in Rule 5.4 Order of Business. However, public comment will generally be received at any time during the meeting regarding a specific topic currently under discussion by the board. Members of the public wishing to comment should raise their hand or pass a note to the clerk in order to be recognized, and shall not address the board until called upon by the chairperson.
Having heard the rules for public comment, is there anyone wishing to make comment at this time? Georgia?
Georgia Durga, Director, Grand Traverse County Commission on Aging, and I just wanted to explain the green shirts. We just came from a shuffleboard tournament at the Traverse City Senior Center. I did not win. Jim Harvey won, but Great Lakes Physical Therapy, but I wanted to explain that and let you know that it happened today, Art Bauer Shuffleboard Tournament.
Any additional public comment? Seeing none, we'll move forward with the approval of the agenda. Is there any item wishing to be added to the agenda tonight? Seeing none, the agenda will stand approved. Consent calendar, if you would please, Jackie.
The purpose of the consent calendar is to expedite business by grouping non-controversial items together to be dealt with by one commission motion without discussion. Any member of the commission, staff, or the public may ask that any item on the consent calendar be removed and placed elsewhere on the agenda for full discussion. Such requests will be automatically respected. If any item is not removed from the consent calendar, the action noted, receive and file or approval, is approved by a single committee action adopting the consent calendar. A, receive and file. 1, Commission on Aging Monthly Report. 2, Veteran Services Monthly Activity. B, approval. 1, Traverse City Senior Center renovation. 2, lease agreement for Kingsley Adolescent Health Clinic. 3, Health Future Services Agreement Amendment Number 10. And 4, Pine Rest Christian Mental Health Services Agreement.
Having heard the consent calendar, is there any item the public wishes to have pulled? Board members or staff? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar.
So moved.
Motion by Johnson, supported by Lathrop. Further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. We have no special order of business. We have no items removed from the consent calendar. Brings us to department action items. Community Collaborative. I see the top of Sharon's head back there behind the podium, so.
Being tall has a few benefits. Good evening, everybody. I'm Sharon Vreeland, the coordinator of the Grand Traverse Community Collaborative, and thanks for giving me a few minutes on the agenda this evening to amplify on my usually monthly report to you anyway, which I will not recite to you because I have confidence that all of you are excellent with your reading skills. but I would be glad to entertain any questions. There are some really exciting things that are happening right now, just in general, with some excitement around dealing with adverse childhood experiences and becoming a trauma-enforced community. As I mentioned, we are looking at putting together a group to create a high-level conference on this issue with some national-level experts. And if anybody wants to help play along, contact me. I'd be glad to have you. And one of the people who's really, two of the people who are spearheading that, one is Becky Garland over at Conflict Resolution Services, and the other is Kathy Anthofer of Phylon in the Circuit Court. She's got a real passion for it. So the other thing I just want to say, I referred to the ALICE report, the United Way ALICE report, and I don't know how many of you were familiar with this previously. We just had Renee McCauley present on this to both the Grand Traverse and Leelanau County collaboratives, and I've given you a link to the full 150-page report and a little breakout for Grand Traverse County. The executive summary, 1/3 of this community is struggling financially to survive. And that's even by some very conservative measures of what it costs. You know, for instance, a family of 4 with an infant and a pre-K, housing $800 a month. That's, you know, pretty tough to come by. Childcare, food, transportation, healthcare doesn't even include savings. But I really, you know, if you look at one thing, especially as you're headed into your new budgeting mode and, you know, deciding where you really need to spend dollars for impact, this report has a ton of good information. I can't stress enough how much I recommend that you take a look at it. And it's powerful. You know, looking at the bare survival level, a single adult needing $19,000 a year and a family of 4 needing $55,000 a year. And if you take that up to a level of sustainability, financial sustainability, you're looking at $50,000 and about $92,000 respectively. 60% of jobs in Michigan are paying under $20 an hour. It's just, and we had some of the best conversations at both meetings this month. You know, some really energized people, and we had people around the table sharing their own family stories, you know, and saying, I'm Alice, my child is Alice. One of them shared that her child, who was a nurse at Munson Medical Center, living in her basement with her kids for 3 years because she, you know, couldn't get, you know, with a good nursing job, couldn't get back out on her feet quickly. And part of that, because it's an hourly job, she'd get sent home early, she wouldn't get the income she expected to get. You know, you still have to pay for childcare whether or not the kid's there the whole time or not. And then the other interesting thing, you know, that really struck me from the report is that when you combine what people are earning plus the public supports that are available to them, there's still a 13% gap between that total income and the household survival budget. So again, I think it's really powerful information, and I hope you'll take a look at it. So, yes, Mr. Klaus.
Sure, I have a comment. I did read through it, and I was being somebody who employs site work guys, concrete guys, and seeing the hourly wage, there's no way that we're meeting that. But I also find it odd that, because I'm working off of page 28, shows $50,000 and running $27.51 an hour. That, when I divide it out, that gives these folks about a 4.5-week vacation, because that doesn't fill up the whole year.
Okay.
And I think that, I just look at this and say, you know what, there's 2 jobs, there's overtime, you know, needs to be stepped up, but I do appreciate the report. I just have a hard time thinking that we publish numbers like this and people expect that they're going to be entitled to that kind of wage, because otherwise they're going to be in this here ALICE program, or, you know, I just feel that it needs to be looked at a little differently, and instead of letting people not work 50 hours a week, 55. So, anyway, that's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Other comments? Dan?
I called Sharon, I had a patient that was in desperate conditions, which he didn't cause himself, and she was very, very helpful to me. They do provide a great deal of help to our community, so I was thankful for that.
Glad I could help.
Yeah.
Glad I could help.
Well, I tend to think a lot like Ron does sometimes. I look at these numbers, and as most all of you know, I've done the Affordable Housing Task Force thing for a long, long time. And I hear these stories about how, the average person in our community spends 55% of their budget on housing and transportation, and that becomes an issue, and I look at the need for affordable housing, but my problem is what they define as affordable. We're seeing all of these new housing developments going in, but, they're still talking $870 a month, and, laborers that I employ for $10 to $12 an hour cannot pay $870 a month for housing. They simply can't do it. I've got guys right now driving from Calava, Manton, Mesig, two from Kingsley. They just drive to get to work. And I don't know what the right answer is, but I can tell you that if I raise the wage scale that I'm paying my employees, my prices to the consumer are going to go up significantly. I see these advertisements that, McDonald's is paying $10 an hour. Well, that's why you can't go to get a Happy Meal for your kid for less than about $8 anymore. So it's a vicious circle. But the idea that you can cure all of this by raising wages doesn't work either, because when businesses raise wages to their employees, the cost of the services they provide also has to go up. Chris?
First of all, Sharon, I appreciate the fact that when Dr. Lathrop called and asked for help, you were a wonderful resource for him. And certainly when people are in special, unexpected circumstances, then I think we as a society need to step up and help people. However, I also agree with Commissioner Klaus, and I'm going to give you a couple of examples. I have a nephew and his fiance, and they are going to go to school at NMC, and they are going to live with my husband and myself. He's a good worker. As a matter of fact, Commissioner Klaus has talked to him once already about looking for consideration for a job. He's not coming until probably November, but that's what you do when you are starting out, or you do exactly what Commissioner Klaus suggested. You work more than one job. Or you work a job, rent a room, take classes, improve your education. I have another nephew who is staying with me right now until the first week in December. The reason he's studying to be a cardiologist. That's not cheap. And he's up at Munson. And so, I tend to agree with Commissioner Klaus that there are, while I believe that society, when someone finds themselves in an unexpected circumstance, needs to step in and give a helping hand, I also believe that there's a great deal of personal responsibility in, maybe you're going to have to share a room for a year, or maybe you have to. That's okay. That's how my grandparents got to where my grandfather could start his own business. There's nothing wrong with that.
And thank you. And please don't construe anything in this report or anything in my bringing it to you to me being me or anybody at the collaborative saying let's just magically raise wages and solve the problem. The point is, these are complex problems that don't have easy solutions. We also, we believe, all of us at the table, that personal responsibility is important. And all of the helping agencies require that the people that we help have skin in the game. But people are still, it's harder. It's harder than it was even for folks our age, I think. And we want to figure out some small steps towards solving these complex problems to make it easier, not necessarily subsidizing people per se, but, you know, see what we can do about making housing more affordable in the area. You know, whatever it is, improve public transportation, but do the things that make it possible for people to get to a point where one small catastrophe, you know, and this is where I could spend, you know, half an hour relating some of the stories, but where one small catastrophe doesn't start a chain of events that becomes very difficult to ever recover from. You know, somebody who's hardworking, okay, I'll go into it a little bit, the person with the daughter who moved home with a few small children and she was a nurse. So she's making a good wage at Munson, but she's an hourly employee. She goes into work and she's told, you know, our census count isn't really very high today, so we're going to send you home. Okay, so she was counting on making X dollars today. Now she's only made Y dollars today. She's had to pay the same amount of money to go back and forth to the job. Maybe she's put her kids in daycare. She's going to pay for the whole day of daycare whether she uses it or not. And which is only fair to the daycare provider because they've got to make a living and they've only got so much space. Now, if that person had also been somebody who was receiving public assistance at the time with their child care, they would have only gotten assistance with the actual hours that they worked for the child care at child care rates from 50 years ago. And so now this is how the hole deepens, and then the car needs repairs, and then somebody ends up in the hospital. This is a hardworking person who's maybe working 2 or 3 jobs. That's where we want to get, you know, is to break that cycle.
Well,
Not necessarily
I don't think
just-
any of us have any concept that this is a simple problem. You know, it is a huge problem. But the fact remains, you know, at least from my perspective, I get tired of hearing about how bad the economy is and how no one can find a job, because I don't know a single business that doesn't have a help wanted sign out front. You know,
Absolutely.
I've been interviewing for both welders and office people for probably 6 weeks. You know, I've hired a welder that's supposed to start on Friday. We'll see how that works, you know. And I can tell you, you know, today's workforce isn't what it used to be.
No.
They have more reasons not to come to work than I can possibly come up with reasons to go to work every day. You know, it's just amazing to me.
But we can help them learn, you know, how to interview, how to shake a hand, make sure they get the skills they need to learn how to weld for you. So,
Good.
Anyway.
Anything else for Sharon? Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Sharon.
thank you very much.
Unfinished business, update on the special meetings. Chris, are you going to talk about that?
Yes,
If you can find your notes?
yes. Give me, I was concentrating on what Sharon was saying, and hang in there with me here. It's coming. After our strategic planning meeting, I met with our consultants, and they suggested a second meeting. The second meeting would be just the full board. It would be much shorter than the first, which ought to bring smiles to everyone's face. We
Smaller
would.
pieces of canvas.
I'll bring my own.
Time 4 of us have to fit on.
We would, Barbara Ellis is proposing that we have a half-day session with the board to help define critical success factors and performance indicators for each strategic initiative. And that is primarily what we would be doing with the half-a-day. After that half-a-day session, then it's time, according to the consultants and myself, after discussion, to bring staff in. And what I am going to suggest to the board, and you can say yes or no at our next meeting, I'm going to suggest that we involve Paula Segala to select key individuals. key staff members to join us. And my reasoning for that, and obviously we can discuss it now or later, or at the strategic planning session, my reasoning for that is I would like to bring in a broad spectrum of people. I don't want to just focus on department heads. I think there are individuals throughout the county that have different perspectives, and I think Paula, probably with her expertise, is the person to select staff to join us, and she could work with Barbara Ellis, who has experience facilitating meetings, to decide on what would hopefully be a productive number of staff individuals to join us. So what do you think?
What kind of timeline are we talking about here? This month?
As soon as I can get the commissioners and Barbara in a meeting room, I will.
So we're going to do like a doodle poll kind of?
Yes.
Okay.
There's a note on our desk that says that we're expecting a proposal from Barbara Ellis by tomorrow, and we'll doodle poll for dates.
Great. Okay.
So
And where will-
that's what I'm proposing, but don't look at me.
I'm sorry.
Over
Oh,
here.
yeah. Mr. Chairman, where will this be held? At Twin Lakes? Again, I like that venue.
I think it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we, once we establish a date, we'll have to find out whether or not the facility is available.
Yeah.
You know,
But I don't
Well,
wanna be
we
in
can
the-
always do the
we can do the lodge also.
lodge, yes.
Or the dormitory.
Dorm,
The has
that's it.
that
That's what I
meeting
meant.
Room that fits 50.
Thank you. Yeah.
Cool, all right.
It's not nearly as nice.
So
Fit stuff.
are we good for me
Kind of moldy.
proceeding in that direction, everyone?
Yeah.
Okay. The other special meeting, regarding the dams, I did send an email after our board meeting that very night to the city manager and requested a joint meeting with the city commission. The city manager contacted me and suggested that Dean and I and the city manager sit down and kind of outline what we're looking for. I asked Dean to contact Marty today. I don't know if he was successful. I've not had a chance to follow up. So Dean?
I actually had Chris Kramer do that for me, but Martin was busy most of the day with meetings, so we're waiting to hear from him. So.
But I am not letting that go. I'm moving forward, and I am also, by the way, I was going to do this during committee comments, but I'm also, I've got a meeting scheduled with the deputy director of the DNR. I don't know if that has any bearing on what we're doing with the dams or not. They reached out to me and asked to meet with me, and I wanted to let you know that that meeting is scheduled. I have no clue as to what they want to talk to me about. But I will give you the date and time of the meeting so that you're aware. But I am moving forward with the dams. What else have I got here on my list?
I'd like to say that we have some sort of goal with this joint meeting.
We do.
This month.
We do.
We have a very expedited timeline from several different
I
angles.
asked the city manager to schedule it as soon as possible. If I do not hear back this week, if I do not hear back, I will go to the next city commission meeting and make a formal request and just schedule it.
Am I understanding that we're clear on the fourth Wednesday of this month, the 23rd, I believe it is? Because we aren't having the meeting that we talked about?
Yes, we do
Prior.
not have a meeting scheduled for the 23rd
Okay.
of September at this
So
time.
we do have potentially that option, but of course our
We
friends
do,
at the city
but
have.
the DEQ will not be able to be there, I am told. But let me continue to work behind the scenes, and as soon as I know anything and can firm anything up, I will let you all know. But I'm working feverishly behind the
We
scenes.
do have a project managers meeting.
I will be going,
That is on September 11th at
11th.
9 a.m.
yes.
I'm going to the 9/11 memorial, but, so I wanted to make sure another commissioner.
I will be attending the project managers meeting.
Okay. And I will try to make it there as soon as the ceremony is over with there, but it's on the other side of town.
I hear you. Oh, yeah, never mind. I've got more on notices and announcements, but that's it. Thank you, Sonny.
Okay. Dean?
Regarding the dams, at Commissioner Johnson's suggestion, I was trying to get the Army Corps of Engineers here on the 23rd. That does not work for Carl Platts, but I confirmed with Carl that September 16th would work. That's the day of your Ways and Means Committee meeting, but I would like to have that as a separate meeting. I think there will be a lot of material that Carl will present. That's the Army Corps option. And he is available on the 16th at 3 o'clock. And I guess I'm just wondering if that would work with most of your schedules. And as Commissioner Krupa has already mentioned, yeah, we're kind of on a fast track here to keep this. We have a lot of meetings regarding the dams that, need to fall in place this month, so.
I'm good. I'll make myself available on the 16th at 3.
I have a meeting in Grand Rapids from 1 to 3 at the Grand Rapids Veterans Home that day. So I can be here at our normal 6 o'clock time. Can we possibly move our, is it the Ways and Means, move that to the 23rd? And are we obligated
Well, that's true.
legislative, or, I guess.
We can move meetings.
Is it hard and fast in writing that we have to have it that day?
No,
Well, you have to give notice.
we have to give notice,
Yeah.
that's all.
But I'm wondering if we can move that, and then that would dedicate the whole meeting if need to be, so.
That was I really felt that you wanted to have only that item on that meeting. So it's just the Army Corps. Carl can come in and explain what they've done and what that option would look like, possible funding scenarios, what our commitment would be, if we go that route. So I think that there's just so much that needs to be covered with that to have anything else on that agenda would be.
Can he be here at 6 then? You've got 3, he's looked like 3, can he come at 6?
I think he's going to be flexible with that time. I can confirm that with him tomorrow, but yeah, if that works.
And if I'm the only holdout, go ahead,
I think this is probably important enough that we need to all be involved
Yeah.
in this Army Corps presentation in particular, because this, the Army Corps has been in and out of this discussion multitudes of times in the last 15 years that we've been dealing with the discussion, whether the Army Corps was in or whether they were out. So I think hearing what they have to say is important. Our Ways and Means meeting that night, I'm not speaking for Chairman Lathrop, who chairs that, but, being that Ways and Means is our finance, we can probably either do it on the 23rd, or we can just conduct the financial portion as part of our Board of Commissioners meeting on the 30th.
The only thing is that I'm looking forward to Steve Peacock's numbers in mid-September, and so I'd rather see us move the meeting to the 23rd.
We could do that.
Okay, so we'll move Ways and Means to the 23rd, and then we'll have to figure out what we're going to do about the joint meeting with the city that we penciled in here on the 23rd.
Would it be out of the scope or too much to maybe have the city joint meeting on the 16th as well, so that they were there to hear?
I'm going to try.
Okay, I mean, is that a problem?
The
Or would
thought
that
had
maybe
occurred
kill
to
2
me.
birds with
Yeah.
one stone?
That might be excellent. They could hear from the Army Corps.
Can someone
what
reach
they
out
have
to the
do.
band?
Yes.
about- Okay. Maybe then if we are meeting with the city, we would have somebody from the band here. And if the city isn't meeting with us that night, obviously, we don't need that. But just as another side note, I'm certain they could probably find one person. It's not like they have to send a board or
Okay,
have a quorum.
as soon as Dean tells me that we've got the Army Corps firmed up, I will start making phone calls.
I guess everyone's receptive to the idea that we're going to meet with the Army Corps on the 16th, and we'll deal with Ways and Means either on the 23rd or at a different process, if everybody's okay with that.
So we're going to meet with the Army Corps on the 16th, you said?
Yeah,
At
do
6
the Army,
o'clock.
still do the Army Corps, but do it at 6 o'clock.
And then the Ways and Means is up in the air still?
The Ways and Means will probably be moved to the 23rd.
Okay.
Okay.
Dean, does the Army Corps, when you had thought about this or had spoken to Carl, this isn't a whole presentation with CRA and everything, it's just the Army Corps?
Yes, it's going to be just with the Army Corps. I don't know if Carl will bring someone else with him. He did ask me today, though, what what you would expect. And I said, well, we would expect you to present us with the Army Corps, the work that you've done to date and what that process would look like. Obviously, a big piece of that is what our funding commitment would be. He told me he may have some good news for us, so.
Really?
Yeah,
We'll take any we can get.
that's what I told him.
He's gonna help me
So,
build
but
my toll booth.
he was expecting to have an answer by the 16th, and I'm pretty sure that he'll be able to. I was the one that suggested 3 o'clock because I was trying to keep it a separate thing. I never thought of moving the Ways and Means, so I'm pretty sure he's going to be able to make that 6 o'clock time work.
Okay. Anything else in regard to special meetings?
What, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt there,
No, you're
Mr.
fine.
Chair. I was finishing my second thought. When I think DNR, I think DEQ and Army Corps. What about the DEQ? I know that Chris Kramer sent us the letter, the original letter, the sanction. We were able to read that consent agreement. Would it be beneficial for us to have somebody from the DEQ to talk to us or be able to answer questions? Because I don't think I'm just speaking for myself when I say that one of the options we want to explore is just doing the minimal required by the state of Michigan, and it would be the DEQ that's in charge of that and not the Army Corps or the DNR or CRA.
Well, I know that you're going to speak with, or you're trying to contact. I don't know if that would hinge or depend on what Commissioner Max Bauer finds out.
I will, if I can include somebody from the DEQ, I will.
I'd like to see it.
My intention today got away from me because of the Spirited Shuffleboard Tournament, which was 3 hours. I was going to call the DEQ down in Lansing and just ask, I'll drive down there and meet with them and just ask my questions if I have to. But, really, this all started because of an order from the DEQ.
If you're going to go, let me know. I'll
Well,
go
I
with you.
obviously would have let you know, but if you don't want me to make that call tomorrow, I won't.
No,
If this is something- I figure it's best to meet people face to face, and what I'd really like to hear is from the head person, just what does this consent order mean to them, to the state? What satisfies their requirements? Another thing I started doing very minimally was researching the other dam removal projects in Michigan. We're one of hundreds of counties across the country that are removing dams or reinforcing dams. I'm curious what other boards of commissioners have done and how it was handled. Some were done with restoration, some weren't. Some were renovated and reused for hydroelectric energy. There's so many different options, and I thought I would start looking into that. But really, the key to it, to me, is our head at the DEQ. So that was my kind of on my to-do list for tomorrow. And I thought, we'll go to them if they aren't able to come to us.
Yes, let's, the more commissioners that would like to reach out and help, I welcome everyone.
Okay. Anything else in regard to those issues? All right, next item would be new business, the county administrator application review. You have a tally sheet on your desk. We, each one of us read 19 resumes, and I understand that there were no additionals that came in late by snail mail or anything that we've been provided to. Is that correct? No one knows of any others?
No.
Okay. Each one of us ranked our top, 1 to 5 candidates. We have 6 candidates that received votes by 2 or more commissioners. Do we want to look at interviewing 6 candidates? What would you like to do? Chris?
I'm going to recommend we interview 3. Yeah, I can, I will go right off the top of the list and say, yes, I am the lone commissioner who chose candidate number 3. Rather than sit and spend a half an hour of your time trying to explain to you why I thought candidate number 3 was a good candidate, I would at least like to narrow it down to the 3 individuals that most of the board agreed upon. I don't want to bring, for instance, candidate number 3 here and waste that individual's time unless the 3 candidates that we're looking at that got 4 or more votes, which could carry a majority of the board, because it takes 4 votes to hire someone. I just don't think that that's a real benefit of our time or in fairness to the candidates.
How does everyone else feel? Bob?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say the same thing, that it's kind of, just looking at the numbers, it's pretty obvious that number 13, 14, and 16, you know, that just about everybody was interested in. And I think the other ones are just some outliers. So I too would suggest just those 3.
And if we don't like them, we can
Yeah. We can
move on.
Well, we can always go back and look at more.
Yeah, we can.
Dan?
Look, there's only one candidate that got all 7 votes. And I think we're in a time crunch. What do we got, 13 months left in office, something like that? Am I right?
15,
How many?
16.
Not many.
16.
And we've got a lot of stuff to do between now and then. We've got a candidate that I think is superior to all the others. There might be one other in my mind that is equal. Let's say that there are others that are equal to the one that got all 7. I still don't think they can compare, because that person can hit the ground running, understands the county, understands the players in the county. We could get this thing moving without interviews. And let me finish.
No, I just want to be nice.
And I think we need to move fast. To take another 2 or 3 months finding somebody else. And then if you do pick someone else besides the guy that got all 7, that person is going to take 6 months, 12 months just to read the tea leaves in this county. I think we ought to have a sense of urgency and pick this one person we know can do the job, has the credentials and the successful track record, and just get moving.
Carol?
I agree with that. I long said, even before our former administrator left, I'm going to add to what you said, that we should have a deputy. Should we take this person who all 7 of us obviously approve of at the moment, I would add that one of that person's first initiatives should be to get a deputy, because I want someone ready to go. I would like to hire this particular person that got all 7 of us interested, but possibly only until the end of next year, to turn us, to get us going in the right direction. This person can do that. I didn't see in any of the other candidates the ability, I know it's just on paper, but really the strong ability to turn a ship like we need it turned, to be able to change a culture that we have going on, and to really bring about the kind of change that we want. But I want that person to be able to hand it off then, at that point, the end of next year, to someone who has been there for a year learning, to be able to hand it off to the deputy and say, here you go, run. With a strong human resource director, with a strong deputy, with a strong person that has affected this change, I think the county would be in a very good position to move forward.
Bob?
Yeah, I mean, I respectfully disagree
Okay.
with both of you. Just because I think we owe it to the county to at least conduct some other interviews and to talk to the other candidates. I mean, yeah, we had one candidate that had everybody's vote to interview, but I think we still need to look and see what's out there. I mean, like I said, I'd hate to cut the process completely out.
It's hard, it's just on paper, so
I
who
know.
knows?
And, I mean, I do agree about the deputy director, but I think that's a whole different process we'd have to go through. But I mean, like I said, I would rather interview the three than to just go ahead and pick one now, so.
Dan?
Yeah, the only reason I say that is that we have a known commodity, and there may be someone equal, but I don't think they would be actually equal because they couldn't hit the ground running. And also, this candidate is a change agent, and they realize that a couple years, and then things are moving on, and so I like the idea of the deputy too. We don't have a lot of time, so I hope if we do interviews, we do them quickly.
Carol?
We do need to head into budget discussions very quickly here. And so with all these extra meetings for the dams and there's going to be, budget meetings and budget discussions and
I would sure hate to
I'm
have...
wondering where we're even going to fit them in.
I'd sure hate to have no administrator and enter budget discussions and no administrator and enter union discussions. I mean, we've got someone that can do this. In October, we're going to be talking about budget. I don't think there's nothing in the law or that requires us to go through an interview process. We can pick someone with the power to do that. It would be efficient. It would be a good decision. We're going to get criticized for it. I think we'll get criticized for whatever decision we make. I think it's a bold movement decision. We should do it. We don't have a lot of time, you guys.
Anyone else? All right, I guess I'm going to comment this way.
We're discussing.
I handled the rankings differently than all of you did, as I understand from what Chris called me this afternoon. I ranked all 19 candidates, 1 through number 19. Okay?
Wow.
And I ranked every one of them based on what I read. And I read the resumes a multitude of times in order to get to that ranking. Commissioner Lathrop chose to rank one candidate. I can tell you from my personal opinion, the candidate that Mr. Lathrop chose as his one candidate was not my top candidate that I chose. I believe that the process entitles us to at least interview these three candidates. Now, one of the things we have to remember, one of these candidates is still confidential. So that person needs to be contacted confidentially and find out whether they're interested in an interview process.
That's true.
Because we can't do anything about releasing that name until that person has agreed to release the confidentiality issue. Is that correct, Chris?
Mm-hmm.
That's correct.
So as of right now, we have candidate 13, 14, and 16 that I guess I would support a motion to make contact with those three individuals to schedule interviews as soon as possible.
I'd like to meet them.
I will make that motion, that we interview or set up interviews with candidate 13, 14, and 16 as soon as possible to get this done quickly.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have support?
Support.
Okay, motion by Johnson, supported by Klaus. Further discussion. Chris?
I want to respectfully slightly disagree with Commissioner Crawford.
Careful now.
As much as I like her, I would like to respectfully disagree with just a hair. I do believe that I will just speak for myself. I am looking for a change agent. I am looking for someone who will produce results. And I do believe that that's going to require change in the organization. And when I say change, what I'm talking about specifically is allowing employees with talent to use the talent they have. We have employees that have a great deal of talent that have just not that have been basically boxed in and have not been allowed to blossom, in my view. So I'm looking for a change agent. That being said, I think that the three candidates here that have 4 or more votes all could do change. However, I don't believe it's going to be done in a year and 4 months.
Started,
Yeah.
just started.
I really do believe that whoever we choose as a board is going to have to come in here and, first of all, work amidst the organization. And, you know, this interview process is going to go both ways. The candidates are going to also be interviewing us to determine whether or not they want to work for us.
I hope they don't Google me.
I hope they don't Google me. But in any event, I just wanted to make the point that I really do believe it's going to take more than a year and 4 months. I don't think it's going to take any longer than 3 years. If anyone knows what they're doing, it never does. But we ought to, as long as, I'm willing to support this motion to move forward.
Okay. Lisa?
I think we need to put a timeline on this, and if a candidate isn't able to meet us in that time, then they're just not able to interview for the job. And I think that would satisfy our concern about, Dan's right, the budget is coming up.
Yeah, we
and
need to get it done.
We have a really
Well-
hasty timeline with the dam situation.
Yes.
And we need to do this. And I know that if I was interviewing for a job, I would certainly, with a reasonable amount of time, do everything I could to make it there. I offhand don't remember who these candidates are. I am the one commissioner that voted for, those were my 3 candidates. I made a mistake and checked off 12, which is on there. But 13, 14, and 16 were my candidates. And I am with Sunny. The one with 7 votes was not my top choice. I did rank mine as well. And so I would be very excited to make my top choice. But I think we need to put a timeline in there. Again, where I was going with that is not remembering who they were. I can't remember if we're talking about a long amount of travel. That's what I can't remember.
No.
Because I want to be reasonable. I don't want to be unreasonable to somebody
I
that
remember
may
who
need
they
to go
are.
on a plane.
They're not.
Okay,
They're not.
Okay.
They're within driving distance.
they are. Okay.
Possibly.
So if we could, if we could maybe come up with a timeline that we could, if Chris reaches out to them tomorrow and does her best to make contact with them. We already know one. So we're just talking about 2 people. So I think we can come up with a fairly abbreviated timeline and move forward from there.
Mr. Chairman?
Keep in mind, even if we interview these individuals and we make a selection, which, you know, I'm sure we will out of these 3 candidates, there is still probably a time delay before that person is in-house.
Absolutely.
don't just
Because
walk
they are
off
all
their
currently
job.
employed.
So getting the interview process done, if it's not too out of line, I mean, I think, you know, we're just really talking about 2 people.
Yeah, I think we can do that, and I will, you know, we will contact Paula tomorrow and see if we can make those arrangements sooner instead of later for the interview process. And, you know, hopefully we can have the first round of interviews in place before the end of this month.
Oh, I'm thinking about, like,
It's within the next 2 weeks.
within the next, I was
We
thinking.
have a problem.
What?
What's that?
Oh, we do have a problem.
One candidate's going to be out of the country until
tomorrow.
the 19th.
Oh, wait a minute, what is today's date?
2.
Isn't he leaving the 4th?
Yes.
Could we interview him tomorrow?
No.
No.
Why not?
I don't know.
Carol's going to be gone. I'm going to be gone.
No, I think we
need to do
need
that.
to allow the HR department the opportunity to contact the 3 people we're interested in interviewing and have them set up the interview process.
That's fine.
How about we look at hopefully imposing it by the 23rd, which is that Wednesday meeting that we're slipping in Ways and Means?
When,
I
Hang
might,
on one
again,
second.
I would ask that we allow the HR department to contact the 3 individuals
And set up
and set
and
up
let
the
us
interview
know.
process.
Right. My point was, we don't let them pick the date, we give them a timeline to meet by. So how about
And
if Paula gave
We
them by the 23rd?
we will ask the HR department to expedite the interview process.
That's
So-
3 full weeks. That's
We'll say
good.
the 23rd. I think that's reasonable to
think
give an
that's fair.
expectation of a date. I really do, especially if they aren't long-distance travel.
hang on
We're
one second.
already delaying to the end of the month, and you're right, whomever is, even if we hired them literally that day, let's just say, I mean, you're still looking at another while before people, especially if they're currently employed. And one of our candidates is under confidentiality, so we need to deal with that. I'm certain he or she needs to deal with something on their end.
Right.
So I really think we need to stop any, it is our employee to hire. We can give a date. I do it with my employees at my job.
Dan?
23rd is fine because the candidate I like will be back in on the 21st.
Okay.
So-
I think we will ask Paula to do her best to use a Board of Commissioners deadline of the 23rd if you are interested in, and then that will allow the candidate who had asked for confidentiality to deal with things on their end.
Would you like to
I-
include that in the motion then?
Well, I really think, in an effort not to circumvent the process, we need to give the HR department the opportunity to contact these 3 candidates and set up the interviews process.
What if another person is on vacation for 6 weeks? Well, are we going to wait?
Well, we will be
Deal with
given
that.
that notice. We will, when we are notified by the HR department, of that fact, we can make a decision whether we want to wait.
So we'll let Paula know, who's watching TV right now. We would like it.
Yes, let's all wave at Paula.
We would like it by the
Hey, Paula.
23rd, Paula.
I just don't want to circumvent the process. I want the HR department to give them the opportunity to contact these 3 candidates and set up the interviews. Okay, so we have a motion and a second to interview these 3 candidates. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. All right, this brings us down to the second opportunity for public comment. Anyone wishing to comment at this time?
Mr. Byrd is coming.
Seeing none?
Mr. Byrd is coming.
Oh, you need to move faster,
He was
buddy.
napping.
I'm trying. It's a long way around there. I failed to notice I wasn't on the agenda for your weekly update on the storm, and hopefully we're getting to the end of that. But just an update on the storm cleanup. As of last night at 5 p.m., all state resources are out of Grand Traverse County. Their contracts ended. So we have no more state resources in Grand Traverse County. The debris sites are not completely cleared, which we were told that was part of the contract, but I don't know what happened there. I've questioned that, and the state wants us to utilize more local resources to continue cleaning until they see if they'll be able to come back around or not. So I'm working with county roads and city DPS, setting up a meeting next week to see what resources we have to do, and I'll be actively working to help finish cleaning up those sites. The cities is the most urgent one because it's a snow drop site, so it needs to be cleared before snow falls. And Rasho Road is less urgent, but it's a local DNR asset, and they need it cleared. Tomorrow night it will close at 7 o'clock to public, so there'll be no more hours after that for the sites. That one is partially processed, partially not. The grinder was there for a day and a half and processed a lot of material. And according to Susie, our initiative to have people go in there and take wood and chips, it was very busy for that last night. So hopefully that recycling and constructive use continues through tomorrow night at 7 p.m. So we'll develop a plan next week to see what we can do, and I'll notify you from there. I have unofficial word, and please take this for what it is. We may possibly be getting an opportunity for Section 19 funds. No official word. It was mentioned on a call that they're working on a possibility of that. I sent out some initial interim information to Dean and Christine and the affected municipalities, kind of just some tips and tricks. My temporary employee just went through this in Osceola County with their flooding last year, and she's very familiar with the Section 19 process. I believe she's going to Dean's office Friday, which is the next day she works, and work with Sherry to start separating finances and looking over expenses. I want to stay one step ahead of this process, because if the state announces it and they come here for a meeting, we have 20 days. That's in the law. There's 20 days to apply. So I'd like us to be on top of that. May, bunch of ifs, no official word, but it could come any day now. The state is officially not going to ask FEMA for a preliminary damage assessment or a federal Small Business Association assessment. They are convinced that the state did not meet the threshold to warrant any of that. And that is their prerogative. And no matter what our feeling or opinion is, there's nothing we can do about that. So
Okay.
that's all we have. Things are back to normal in the public areas. The trees are slowly stopping from falling when the wind blows. There is still a lot of private property debris that citizens are working through, and we still have a little bit of a request and a demand for those that don't have the means for another opportunity like Team Rubicon. I'm still working with Michigan VOAD groups. Southern Baptist has an organization. They may come do an assessment to see if it warrants them deploying here. And Team Rubicon may be able to come back in October or so. So I'm keeping that active and open, because if we can get these volunteer organizations to help some of these citizens, that can go on into the fall. As far as our intake and our costs and our expenditures with these debris sites, we'll start wrapping that up within the next, hopefully, 30, 60, 90 days before snow flies, is my initiative. So with that, if there's no questions or comments, yes?
And I can't remember if you've already held it at the Rasho Road, but was that the site for people to come get firewood?
It's also a debris drop site, and they can come get chips and firewood,
Okay.
yes.
Has that already happened, and how is that working?
The first day was Saturday, and it was very busy. Last night was very busy for both. We had a lot of people dropping off, and we had a lot of people taking.
Okay.
So tomorrow will be the last night of that for both. Talking with Susie, we may try and do a special, hey, come get your firewood, last call, but we're not going to accept any more material after Thursday night. So we've had it open for a full 30 days. We know there's still a need, and it's that balance. It's a balance of one of the volunteers that have been staffing that site relentlessly for 30 days. It's a balance of how busy that site is with stuff coming in, and we have to call, and now that there may not be an opportunity to get another processing round, and we'll have to haul it all out of there. That kind of forces our hand for us in a way. So we'll play it by ear with that, but officially, we're not accepting any more material. There are other means available to get rid of the material.
Keystone drop-off site will still remain open.
Keystone will remain open.
County-owned facility on Keystone Road will still remain open.
Yeah. And there have been no complaints from the contractors, and we haven't been accepting contractor loads of debris for over a week and a half. So, Egamog did close, and it has been returned fully to the property owner. He is very happy with that. It was returned to him better than when he gave it to us, and he would be willing to work with us in the future if there's a need for another debris site for that location. So, as we come out of this, I'll come to you guys with, I think, some special thanks proclamations, if you will, to certain people in the community that really stepped above and beyond and helped us. So just trying to let things settle, and my job isn't any busy. I now have to do all the things I missed doing routine-wise in August to catch up. So, but that's where we are at the storm.
Okay, questions for Greg? Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to make comment at this time? Seeing none, Commissioner Committee reports? We covered most of them, I think, earlier in the evening. Carol, did you want to add
Mine's
something?
kind of a notice announcement, too. I went to Acme Township last night. A couple people commented that our website is excellent. They like the new website very much. So kudos to the website committee for doing a great job. They also wanted me to let you know the 6th Annual Acme Fall Festival, Saturday, September 26th. I hear it's a good time. It is. Lots of people show up to that. It's at Flint Fields Horse Park on the 26th.
Okay. Carol, or Chris?
I too have announcements. You all may recall that Commissioner Wheelock and Commissioner Lathrop and myself met with Mr. Cooney to discuss the ethics policy. I did not let that ball drop, but understanding Mr. Cooney has had other things on his plate, and so I didn't prod him. I prodded him today, and he said, "It's being typed." And I said, "Wonderful." I've told Mr. Cooney that I would ask to have that placed on RMNA, so Commissioner Kropa, I am asking that the ethics policy, the draft that was discussed by the ad hoc, be placed on RMNA. The letter to employees, as your chair, I will not send out a letter without your knowledge and approval, other than thank you notes, which you already said I could do. But this is the letter that I have drafted to employees. If anybody has a problem with it, now is the time to speak. And if you want a minute to read it, that's fine.
Yeah, looks good to me.
All righty, I'll send that out then. I also would like to have a discussion at RMNA about the position of HR director, specifically the salary that we are offering.
Yes.
I don't think that, I truly believe that good HR directors, talented in what they do, knowledgeable in what they do, are in demand, and clearly that is the case. So I think that we need to have a serious discussion, and I will let Paul and Sagala know that I want to have that discussion at RMNA about what we should look at perhaps for an appropriate wage to get a quality individual to head our HR department. So that, Commissioner Kropa, if you would put that on the agenda, please. The next item, I have been asked to attend a memorial service September 10th for a former Grand Traverse Band chairman, Ardith Doty Harris. It is at noon, September 10th at Shabbytown. I cannot attend. I have made a commitment on that date for long before September 10th.
What day is that?
It's a Thursday.
It is a Thursday. And before I decline, it's at noon at the, I don't call it.
Out in Sutton's Bay?
It's Sutton's Bay, and it's in the, what is it called, auditorium?
Yeah.
Or showroom that they have. And before I decline, with my regrets, I wanted to ask if there was a commissioner who would be interested in attending in my place.
Is it a speech?
Do you have to say anything?
I have spoken in the past.
'Cause I think you have to respond to them ahead of time so
You
that
do.
they can have their programs.
You
set.
do. So if there is a commissioner that wishes to go and wishes to represent the board, as far as I'm concerned, anyone who would like to volunteer, and that does include speaking a few minutes if you would like, let me know. And no one has to jump up and down right now and volunteer. You can let me know after you check your calendars.
I'm looking right now, and I can do it. I have LEPC at 10, but I leave here by 11, which would give me enough time to get out there.
Okay, wonderful. I will forward the email to you,
Yeah, I
Commissioner
think
Kropa.
you have to contact them.
You
and
will,
get
you
all
have,
put
you
on
have to
it.
contact them. I have the contact
I'm gonna put it down
information,
right
and I will
now.
do that momentarily. Thank you. And I think,
And give me a heads up as to what you spoke about at the last one, just so I
I will.
have an idea.
I will. And I think that's it. That's all I've got.
Okay, Dan?
Just in regards to what you said about the HR person, I don't think we should lower our standards one bit. We need a high-quality person there, so, just for what it's worth.
My understanding was we had posted ours at the same time as two other major employees, and Traverse had posted, and we were the least paid position of the three. And those two have since filled their HR positions, and we would be submitting or casting a new net, perhaps to a different audience than we were before.
Yeah, cool.
I did have opportunity to speak to Paula earlier in the day in regard to the HR director thing, because one of the things I noticed when I was reading some of the county administrator applications is that at least
one,
2 or
isn't there?
3 of those people had extensive HR experience.
One
So-
stood out very
one,
much.
You know, so I asked her if she'd go back and look at that resume too. You know, I still believe we have to cast out the net again,
Yep,
you know, but, you know, maybe
Encourage
We
we
have to look at a wage.
need to look at that.
yeah.
Very cool.
All right, is there any other notices or announcements? Lisa?
Commissioner
Bob Cooney.
Coropa beat me.
Bob Cooney. I wanted to congratulate Bob Cooney. He got the 2015 Crime
Yes.
Fighter Award from the Invest Kids in Kids Michigan for his crime prevention efforts that benefit children. And as a mom of 4 kids who were born and raised in Grand Traverse County, I appreciate what Bob and his office does to make sure that our kids live in a safe place. So this was a well-deserved honor, and I know it goes to Chris and Kit and all of the rest of the people in your office too, because they all have, I think when you think about our prosecutor's office, there's 2 outstanding commitments that I notice, and one is children, and the other one is the drug war. And both have significantly changed because of this office in the last 6 years since Bob's been in, or 7, I guess now.
Chris?
There is an article in Bridge Magazine that we all got, and if you click on your county, it will show the history of drug-related deaths in your county, as well as, I think, the most recent year is like 2013. Grand Traverse County's has gone up significantly, and clearly there's a little bit of a problem there. But if you get a chance to look at your Bridge Magazine article, it's in there, and I found it interesting. And the other thing is, Commissioner Coropa said she was going to beat me at shuffleboard. Now, the Art Bauer Shuffleboard Tournament is an annual event put on by Peg and Dan Yankoff at the Senior Center, and they invite, I guess what can best be described as local dignitaries who basically
group.
hold a
Yeah,
shuffleboard
motley crew.
thing once
Best
a year.
described.
Mayor Estes said he only does it once a year, and but it was great fun, and on behalf of many participants and the Commission on Aging, I'd like to thank Peg and Dan for holding that tournament. It's just an absolute hoot. And Trevor Tkach, he whipped me on that shuffleboard court. I had 3 negative 10s out of 4 little
She
discs.
was the biggest loser.
I
You
was.
really were.
I went from undefeated champion to biggest loser.
Well, I made it to the end and was absolutely demolished by the new publisher of the Record Eagle. He took me down so quickly, it was not even funny, and he was a great sport and a lot of fun to partner with. I really enjoyed him.
It was fun.
Bob?
Yep, and this is for Commissioner Crawford, because she's been all over my butt. I like to say butt sometimes. If you haven't been to Gentees and you want to order your shirts, get there.
Oh, thank you.
Because I haven't been, so
Have you done it, either of you?
I haven't, so I
No, I
gotta go.
gotta go.
I did it.
Ron and I are in the dog.
It
Here's
takes
us.
10 days to get them once everybody's orders
All
are
right.
in, and I would like to have them for MAC for those of us who are going. So time
Yes.
is of the essence, please by Friday.
Yes.
And I like using that word.
Thank you.
All right, if there's no need for a closed session, we stand adjourned at
Right, Chris, you're gonna make it.
MSU.
Yay, Chris.